Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be discussing postmodernism in this video. It developed in 19th century, late 19th to early 20th century. In this video, we'll discuss the characteristics of postmodernism, differences between modern and postmodernism, notable authors and writers of this era, and the features of postmodern era. Assalamu So, postmodernism is a very ambiguous and complicated term. Postmodernism rise after World War II. It deals with, kindly we can say, it deals with micro narratives or rejects the grand narratives. Grand narratives matlab the meta narratives. Meta narratives are considered to be the narratives or the topics through which the whole world is concerned. For example, patriarchy society, or the East with the how we can say West is ruling the East, how there is the concept of slavery and the abolition of it. So the last, and it deals with the binary opposition, why the white is always above the black, and even people say that darkness, the absence of light is considered to be the dark, right? Darkness. So these are the meta narratives why only one thing or one subject is dominant over the other. For example, men over women. So this is the meta-narratives. Dealing with the last point of the slide is that until the lion learn how to write, every story will glorify the hunters. The literal meaning of this statement or line is that as long as lions cannot write, the hunters keep telling his side of the story, his heroic acts in the jungle. His medals and bravery are glorified, all of his stories. Then he could say that the lion runs away and hides on his arrival. Scared of him, he could tell his stories of how he saved the animals under the attack of the lion. These are by all means the literal description. When by the time lion learns how to write and read, it can debate and reject many of the claims of the hunter. It can write its own version of the story. We can say that the coin has two sides, but we can only see one side of the story, like one side of the coin. So so this concept is widely applicable to many events in the history, and postmodernism is highly subjective. It includes even religion, search for meaning in the modern age. Then women are considered to be the eccentric subject. Women started coming at the center to get their rights. The other like women were at the boundary, and the center of the circle, you can say, can be the men, because men were always dominant over women. Even till date, there are few countries in which it happens. So postmodernism rejects all the meta narratives. East being the slave of the West, and West being dominant over it. Patriarchy society, why always black the inferior color, and why white has the extra value over the black? The characteristics of postmodernism are fragmentation, metafiction, intertextuality, prestige, parody, simulation, and simulacrum. Going with the first, fragmentation is something in postmodernism when in novels, poetry, prose, In a literary work, when there is fragmentation, when there is no order; in poetry, when there is no rhyme and meter, no certain schedule of stanzas; and in prose, there is no certain style that is followed. Similarly, metafiction is a word that itself poses a question: the difference between the reality and fiction. So, metafiction, and in postmodernism, it is a blend of both reality as well as fiction. Then, thirdly, we have intertextuality. Intertextuality is something when already a written work is there, but you go on for to enhance it and recreate it with more suitable, adding suitable features to it. That is called intertextuality. Pastiche and parody is something. Pastiche is the imitation of what the author wrote, but parody is something when you copy a certain style of the author or the manner of writing a particular work. Again, furthermore, we have simulation and simulacrum. Simulation is the process of making an artificiality in regard to what reality is, and simulation is the process, while simulacrum is while the artificiality is praised in order to reflect reality. The example of it is if we take the advertisements of how a model has been given the whole uh, leverage to have a flawless skin, her walking style, her talking style, her movement, her gestures, her hair, her perfect body, figure, her clothes, glamour, everything is artificial. But it has been praised a lot, and not in reality. In reality, nobody is perfect, and not even in reality you get a hint of perfection in anything. But in simulation or simulacrum, you get what the artificial or fictional thing is, and you keep on praising it. So these were the characteristics of postmodernism. Going with the next slide. So, so the topic we are dealing with is difference between postmodernism and modernism. People always say, what's the difference between postmodernism and modernism? So postmodernism is the period from which we are going right now, but modernism was when World War One. It was a period after World War One, but postmodernism it influenced after World War Two. Postmodernism isn't concerned with rationality, illogical thinking, or a certain meaning in a particular text. For example, Waiting for Godot is the best absurd theatre play which does not really specify any particular or specific meaning, whereas modernism, it deals with rationality, logic, just to gain knowledge or the information in a particular piece of text. Then postmodernism, it deals with fuzzy science, which means there is no suitable specific way that leads to a particular information related to science. At that time, religion lost its meaning, and in modernism, it dealt with science, truth, logic, and it left behind religion. But in postmodernism, it went a way ahead than science as well, and it deals with fuzzy science. Then there is high level of fragmentation, intertextuality, and simulacrum, which has been discussed in the previous slide. Fragmentation is when you have no specific order of any particular piece of text, whether it's literature or linguistics or any piece of text that deals with any subject. But in modernism, you did not have any fragmentation, whether in prose or poetry. There were specific rhyme and meter, specific arrangement of words and letters that provided definite meaning to a particular text. Then there was, as it is discussed, no proper patterns of prose and poetry in postmodernism. I have discussed it already in postmodernism. We do not mostly, if you take any example of written poetry in this era, you will not search any rhyming meter, any figurative devices. Which is the ornament of a poetry. Whereas in modernism, there was certain style of particular authors like William Wordsworth and Tennyson. Whereas in postmodernism, you can take the example of Ezra Pound, and these are such authors, writers, and poets which did not then follow any suitable pattern, but they went with the fragmentation. And why? Because there was this period is considered to be the period of chaos and destruction, not as considered to be the catastrophic destruction, but how the minds were scattered, how the ideas were scattered. So yes. Then discussing the features of postmodernism. So one is presence of the past. Any piece of work, for example, the novel Reluctant Fundamentalist by Mohsin Hamid or Cracking India by Bapsi Sidhwa. So these are the two literary works. In it, there is a presence of historical past event. So the feature of postmodernism, presence of the past, the historical event is present in these two novels. Then there is fluidity of generic boundaries. A piece of work that is written without any specific boundaries labeled to it, specifying the genre, so there is no specific or generic boundaries. Then we have magical realism, the third feature of postmodernism. Magical realism is considered to have the magic, for example, the fiction as well as the reality, the blend of two in one particular work. For example, there's a series Lucifer, we can say, and we can see the magical realism in it. We have another work, A Man with Enormous Wings. This is a short story, and we can see the magical realism in it. Then we have hyperreality. Hyperreality is considered to be a reality without a realistic feature. A reality which is actually a reality but with the artificiality or the fictionality. So in it there comes two headings, that is simulation and simulacrum, which has been discussed in the previous slides. Thank you. Important writers of postmodernism are Brian McKell, Linda Hutcheon, and Lyotard. These are the three notable writers. They have worked on postmodernism. Linda Hutcheon is considered to have been. She has written about simulation and simulacrum. And other three deals with all the features of postmodernism, the characteristics of it, how every novel, prose, and drama, and every literary piece of work that had been written in such era, they consist of every features of postmodernism. And yeah, these three are the most important and foremost writers of postmodernism. Most notable postmodern authors are Samuel Beckett, Waiting for Godot is the most important absurd theater play in the postmodern era. In this play, if you have gone through it, it is related with the meaninglessness, how characters are involved without any meaning in the play, and how they are talking to each other and there is no meaning to their dialogues. Then Gabriel Garcia Marquez has written 100 Years of Solitude. It consists of 7 generations and it is a blend of a lot of features, and it is considered to be the best novel in 100, or I guess it is considered to be the best novel. Then we have Mohsin Hamid, How to Get Filthy Rich in Rising Asia. So this is considered to be a diary, and in postmodernism there is no such feature or a specific style or a pattern of writing a literary piece. So a diary is even considered to be in postmodernism. It enjoys the leverage of having the title of a novel. Then we have White Sargasso Sea. So behind this we have Jane Eyre, and the character of Bertha hasn't given voice in it. So then the novel is recreated with the background story, and that is considered to be the White Sargasso Sea novel. And in it, the Bertha character gets the voice to her character. She explains how everything goes on. So in postmodernism, it even deals with the intertextuality, how Jane Eyre and White Sargasso see the intertextuality of a certain work that is there, but even they again rewrite the text to enhance it more. So these were all about postmodernism. I hope you people have liked it. Kindly subscribe to my channel. Thank you.